Welcome to the Transformational Soul Show with your host, Ruth Soltman. Are you ready to experience more stability in your life? You can change your life and be who you are meant to be, your authentic self.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Transformational Soul. My name is Ruth, and I want to welcome you here tonight. Welcome to everyone who is watching live, and those of you who are watching the replay as well. We are streaming live right now on Rumble, X, BitChute, and YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very grateful to have you here. Hello, Roy and Jill, Maureen, Richard, welcome. Good to see you. Please hit the like or the thumbs up button. Please share the show information. That is awesome. And if you are out there watching, please say hello in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Come out and check out my website, ruthsoltman.com. It's RUTH, S as in Sam, O-L, T as in Tom, M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy.com. And you can go to my website and find out about my books, my oracle cards, and the services that I offer. If you haven't joined our Telegram group, please come over there and do that. It is by invitation only, and the link is in the show description. So check that out. There's also a QR code that you can use. You do have to have an account on Rumble, but that's not really a big deal. So don't let that stress you out or keep you from joining the group over there. Hello, Kavita. Goldylocks Productions also has an online store where you can get some really great merchandise. So check that out. There's always, new designs being added. There's lots of great stuff over there. And don't forget about the Goldylocks Oracle cards. These cards are so awesome. And they're called Energized, and they were created by the show host. And, we did the wording, and Tiffany did the design. It's got beautiful sacred geometry signs on it and symbols. If you would like to give a donation, you can do that via my Venmo or a Rumble rant on Rumble. In the future, you'll be able to send your tips and donations on YouTube, but right now that is not available. Know that your tips and donations are very gratefully accepted. They do help to cover the cost of my show every month. So let's send out some love, light, prayers, and healing to all those who are in need. Let's especially remember Robin McGuire and her son, Carolyn and Carrie's daughter Carrie and her sister Ginny, Joyce, Maureen, Brandon, Jamie, Heidi, William, Tommy, Josh, Harley, Patty, Sarah and her family, Jamie, Patricia, Melissa Parks and her family, Devin, Jill, Roy, Laura and her husband, Tiffany, George and their family, Carol, Bob, Diane, Julie and their families, and to all those who are in need or just need a little bit extra right now. And I'll tell you, with this energy, we can all probably use a little bit extra right now. I just want to remind you to catch our shows Sunday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and a couple of Tuesdays a month and Thursdays on Thursdays. So tomorrow is Musical Life, and it's a fairly new show. So if you guys would love to help us out and write a review for some of the shows, that the newer ones, or for any of the shows, you can do that, and Tiffany will post them on the website. And you can just send those reviews to Tiffany's email. I'm going to spell it out for you. It's GNOSTICHEALING37 And if you haven't become a Goldylocks VIP, do it. What are you waiting for? For the price of a cup of coffee a month, not a day, not a week, but a month, you can be a VIP member. And VIPs get a special show twice a month. And that just happened to be today. And it was a wonderful, wonderful show. This Saturday is the Spiritual Message Circle. So come and join us. If you've been there before, you know how it works. If you're new and you haven't been there before, for a donation of $20 or more, because you can donate more if you wish, you will get a message from all of the show hosts that are present that evening. Hello, Robert. So that's always a fun show. And if you want to just come and check it out and watch the show, there's going to be information you're going to hear that's going to resonate with you as well. I haven't been on social media as much lately. So if you've messaged me on there and I haven't gotten back to you yet, I will. It's been slow going for me. I've had a few issues. If you remember last week, I was telling you we had the dishwasher issue. We had my laptop issue of it not charging. And my email issue constantly being over 100% of my storage used, which is a bunch of crap. But I worked on that a lot, and I got it down to like 82% or something. I did learn a few things. Just because you delete photos from Google on your phone doesn't mean they come out of your Google. And you also have to go to the trash and empty the trash too to make sure they're gone. So I got so much stuff taken care of on there. Got a new laptop charger, so I'm not having that issue again. So once all that was taken care of, my phone decided to take a dump. Yep, it sure did. Had the green line going through it. So I did some research to find out what that meant. And, it said if you turn it off and turn it back on and it's gone, it's a software issue. If you turn it back on in safe mode and it's gone, it's a software issue. If it doesn't, blah, 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 it's a hardware issue. You have to take your phone in and blah, blah, blah. So mine ended up being a hardware issue. My phone is almost 4 years old, so I decided it was time to just get a new one. So now that problem has been resolved. Although you know how that's always fun when you transfer stuff to a new phone. Every time you log into an account, you get like 3 messages that, fraud alert, this person is trying to log into your account from this phone. And so it takes a little while and some patience. But now that stuff is all worked out, so that's good. It's been a really weird kind of week, with, stuff coming up missing. You turn around and it's not where you put it. Just really kind of crazy stuff. Now, I know we've had a lot of stuff happening with all of this energy. I know we're all experiencing it. No one is immune to it. And we're all experiencing it in different ways, though, depending on where we're at on our journey, depending on what our body is doing, right? Our body is feeling, how well our body is. And Tiff and I were talking before the show, and she had talked about this on the Spiritual View today. We've been super tired, like falling asleep during the day at our desk, getting plenty of sleep at night, just being super, super tired. And I have noticed that I've been drinking a lot more coffee during the day, which, is kind of giving me a couple of stomach issues. I think I'm drinking too much of it. But sometimes it feels like that's what I need to get through the day. I do take different supplements that help with energy. Um, so it might be a lot worse if I wasn't taking those. I don't know. Um, some people, and I've had this happen to me a couple times in the last week, turning too fast or getting up too fast and feeling dizzy. Um, Dizziness is not something that happens to me a lot in life, but it has been happening to me with this huge influx of energy. But extra thirsty. My body temperature has, and I've talked about this many times before, how it feels like my insides are on fire. And I feel like it's burning up a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there. It's helping me to purge stuff because fire can be very cleansing. So I'm sure the heat going through my body is probably very cleansing. So other people may be having, strange dreams or, food cravings or maybe food. One thing I've been experiencing, and this has been going on for probably a couple months now, is it doesn't matter what I eat, and nothing really tastes good. And everything seems to upset my stomach lately. No matter what it is, whether if I eat something crappy or if I eat something really healthy, it doesn't make a difference. So I'm really trying to be careful what I eat because, until I figure out what it's doing. We see so much chaos going on in the world. Now, I am not one who watches the news, but if you're on social media, every once in a while you're going to see something that's going to tell you what's going on in the world because people post about this stuff all the time. But there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of outright lies that are just being put out there. And it always has been. It's just we know it now. We didn't used to know it. But we know the truth when we see it. We know the truth when we hear it because we feel it. We feel it in our body. Have you ever heard something and just right through your whole body, you got chills from head to toe because it's deeply resonated with you? I remember that's happened to me several times. I can remember when I was younger and I would hear about some, tragic event and it would be like this shockwave of fear came over me. It was all fear. And, when I was young, I bought into it. I didn't know that this stuff was not true. I didn't know any better, but now I do. We all do. Most of us do. I can remember having so many conversations with my mom, but now you have to think, she grew up in a totally different time. We would talk about the news and things she saw on social media, and she loved to read The Inquirer. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that drove me absolutely crazy. But she always believed the stuff she read. And she would tell me that they couldn't write it, they couldn't say it, they couldn't put it on the news if it wasn't true. She would say, oh, the doctors aren't going to lie to you, the government's not going to lie to you, blah, 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 blah. And, we know that most of the stuff in mainstream media is false information. Hello, Robin. Every time you say that, listening while I work, I think of the seven dwarfs whistling while they work. I'm glad you can be here, Robin. I have to finish watching your show last night, Robin. I was setting up my new phone and I got kicked out of the show, so I have to go back and finish it. But what I saw, it was a fantastic show. So my mom would tell me, they can't say any of this stuff if it's not true. And I saw this video probably 20 years ago now. That's how long ago this was. And it was they were talking, it was some article, some story that they had on the news about, I think it was about milk. I don't remember the specifics of it. But the news people said that there is no law. There is no law that states what information they convey on the news has to be true. Now, how sad is that? That's very disturbing. Very disturbing. And we see what's in mainstream media today. And now with AI videos, some of them are really, really good and really, really believable. So many people are confused about what they're seeing and what they're hearing. Hi, Jan. Welcome. I'm glad you could be here. It's very confusing. That's why it's really important to listen to your intuition. And you have to not just listen, but you have to trust it. Because you know if something feels off or if something feels right. We all know. Now, it doesn't matter how many people believe misinformation or believe a lie, that doesn't change it into truth. It's still a lie. So listen to the beat of your own drummer. It's so important. I'll see people watching videos on social media, and when they get done watching it, and see, now I figured out something. I've commented many times about how spiritual videos or videos like our shows don't go viral. But all of these BS videos do. And I figured out why. At least one reason. Because people will watch a video and be like, oh my gosh, is that real? Let me watch that again. And they'll sit there and watch it 5, 10 times trying to figure out if it's real or if it's AI or if it's staged or whatever. So that just ups the views. And with all this chaos that's going on in our outer world, make sure you are staying centered and balanced. It is so important. Only allow kind and loving energy into your sacred space, your inner self. That's your sacred space. Make sure you're taking very good care of yourself. Maybe we think we are, but maybe we could, step it up a notch or two. Make sure you're eating healthy. Make sure you're grounding. Make sure you're meditating. Make sure you're moving your body. I mean, you don't have to go out and, run miles or go to the gym. Just move, take a walk, dance around your house while you're cooking, whatever, but just get your body moving. You don't want to just sit. Think about when you've been sitting for a long period of time and you get up and start moving around. If you've been sitting for hours and hours and then you get up, it's like your body's a little stiff. It kind of doesn't want to move. But the more you move, the better it feels. And you can feel the energy around you change. So you don't want to get all that stagnant energy that's not moving. So by moving your body, you're going to get that energy moving. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're doing things in your life that bring you joy. So many people are lacking joy in their lives. It's one thing to do something and you have fun, but that doesn't necessarily mean, it could be a fun, joyful experience, but you have to keep that joy inside of you all the time, just like we do with love, unconditional love, and, the kindness. This is the kind of things that we need to be exuding all the time. Our light is so much more powerful than any darkness. And when we're all living in that space of being our authentic self, then our light shines so bright, and it touches every space. Oh, I didn't hear it, Robin. But I would still go back and watch the rest of your show. I enjoy your show. Um, so it's really important for us to make sure we're taking really good care of ourselves. There's no knight in shining armor coming to save us like we were taught when we were little girls, right? Prince Charming riding in and saving us. No, we're here to save ourselves, to do for ourselves, to take responsibility for what we do, for our actions, because all actions have consequences. Now, the word consequences is not a negative thing, because you could have positive consequences, or you could have, and they're really not even negative if you're learning from them, right? If you're learning from them, they really aren't even negative. Oh, before I forget, I did mention this, I think, last week or the week before, but in December, remember, we're going to have the Q&A with Tiffany White Sage Woman. I think it's the first 2 Wednesdays. Let me check my phone here. I think it's the first 2 Wednesdays in December. And there's always just too much stuff to the first 2, to have one show. So, because, when she answers a question, it's not a yes or no question. And it's not a yes or no answer. And she consults with her team, and she gives really, really good in-depth answers to all of the questions that, we've presented her with. So, if you have questions, please get them to me. She doesn't see them ahead of time. And I'm going to do like I did the last time and put them on a piece of paper and then pull one out at a time. So, that way it's fair if, rather than just, doing it another way. So we're going to do it that way. And I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be right before Christmas, which, isn't very long from now. For all of you who like to keep track of that stuff, today is the 15th. Tomorrow will be the middle of the month because we have 31 days. So to round it off, it's about the middle of October. And it feels like we were just saying it's the middle of August or the middle of September. I mean, the time is flying by, absolutely flying by. I had a really strange experience the other day, and it totally escapes me what it was. But when it happened, immediately my thought was that happened in a different timeline, because I have no memory at all of it ever happening. And I really wish that, I could remember what it was, but I didn't write it down at the time. But it was really strange. Now, I know if I'm experiencing stuff like that, and you guys probably are too. I know we've had a lot of timeline shifts. I know the Schumann resonance has been extremely low. Extremely low. And, this affects our energy as well. I also know that we've had a lot of blackouts. Past weekend, I think the whole weekend, I think it was like 48 or 72 hours. I also know that we've got a lot of white light coming in. So we're being hit by everything. And, we live in a human body. While all of that energy going, and touching our spirit or our soul, it's probably like when you go out in the sun, it's like, oh, this is wonderful. But it's different for our physical bodies. It's a lot different because, if your vibration is, say, a 3, and this energy coming in is a 6, your body has to adjust to that, your physical body. And it takes a lot for it to do that. It can be very, I don't want to say traumatic, but it can be very powerful. So you can have a lot of different experiences, a lot of different symptoms, a lot of different, weird things happen. Um, and, different things like that. So pay attention. A lot of the, things you might be feeling might be attributed to that. I mean, it's very well possible. If the energy is feeling really heavy to you, try to eat lighter, eat higher vibrational foods, ones that are very nutrient dense. If you feel you need it. And I'm going to say, 20, 30 years ago, probably none of us did. But now, most of us probably need some kind of supplement or vitamin. And a lot of the supplements out there are great for your energy. They're great for your immune system. But one thing you have to be very, very mindful of is no matter what it is, no matter what company makes it, read the ingredients. Read exactly what is in there. Because sometimes you'll find that it's just like, say, for instance, the moringa. You can look at it and it'll say moringa leaf. That's all it is. It's powdered moringa leaves. Other ones will have a bunch of stuff added to it. So you don't want to get ones that, have sugar and have all these names that you can't even pronounce, because there's a lot of those out there too. So you just have to be mindful and pay attention. Back even like 10 years ago, I didn't know supplements were like that. I didn't know. I thought if it said, like vitamin D, that's exactly what it was. It's just vitamin D from whatever source. And I didn't realize all that stuff that they add. And it's kind of scary, all the stuff they add without our knowledge, without us paying attention. And I know a lot of that is changing in the next year or so, which is really wonderful. But think about it. Be mindful of that. And if you can, spend a little bit of time, even if it's only 10 minutes, outside every day. Every day. It's so that the energy outside is so healing. The sun, the just the sound of the birds, or last night it was the sound of cats down the street fighting. That wasn't too enjoyable, but it didn't last very long. But the birds, it's so cute. My grandson Jackson, he's 2, and he doesn't talk a lot, but he communicates very, very well. And he always lets me know exactly what he wants. He's really good at this. But I don't know. He just has no use for many words. My youngest son was like that when he was younger too. And there was a time when I thought maybe he couldn't hear. So I can remember him sitting in his high chair and me going behind him and dropping like pots and pans on the floor to see if he turned his head. And he did. I mean, he was fine. But, a lot of times you don't know. But Jackson will go outside in the mornings and he'll sit there and then he'll go like this when he hears the birds. And I love that he pays attention to that stuff. Because I've gone outside many times and had my coffee, be sitting there in the morning, looking at my phone, and not even notice that the birds are all singing. I haven't done that in a long time because I usually try to be more mindful and pay attention to things more. But the birds are amazing. I love the mourning doves. I love them. And I always have 2 that come together all the time. And it always makes me think of my parents. And then we have this butterfly, big butterfly, very large, that comes, and it will come up on the porch, like it'll come like float like this way, and just it makes itself known every single time. It's like, hey, I'm here. So that's always exciting. That's always exciting. Now, a couple of times I have been sitting this week and it had something whiz by my ear. Now, the sound of it, it was fast. I swear it was faster than like a hummingbird. You know how fast they move their wings. But it whizzed by. There were no insects around. There was no nothing. So I'm not sure what that was, but it happened to me twice. Now, maybe it's just my ears picking up, something else. Now, something I've noticed too, and since a lot of this energy stuff has been happening, and I know my vibration has changed. I know a lot of things about my physical body have changed. One thing is I have a very increased sense of smell. And you might think, well, that's really nice. And it is. However, I find a lot of scents very overpowering now. Things like coffee, brewing in the morning is amazing. Or the way it smells after they cut the grass or if it's raining. And but when somebody like sprays something on, oh, and it doesn't matter if it's, I don't know exactly what it is, but I can taste it. That's how strong I smell it. So I've been trying to be a little more careful, about what I'm around. Yes, Robin. Robin says the vitamin D the doctors prescribe is no good. You need vitamin D3 with K2. Yes, and I have read that many, many times. Many times. But thank you for pointing that out. So our bodies are very powerful, when it comes to healing. Oh, when it comes to anything. But when it comes to healing, they are very powerful and they can heal on their own. Absolutely. When I think about the stuff that's come out in the last, well, since my mom, transitioned even, and holy cow, since my grandma, I mean, that was back in like 86, I think. And the information that we have now, if we would have had it then, think about how many lives could have been saved. Now, I say could have because, those generations of people were all about, okay, whatever the doctor says, the doctor's not going to tell me to do something that's going to hurt me or that's not going to be good for me. But I think now, since so much stuff has come out, we know better and we see things differently from a different perspective, from a totally different perspective. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I pulled a card for everyone, like for the group. And it says dream time. And it says creation. I feel like this is a really good time for us to be creating things in our life. Now, when you talk about creating something, you talk about creation, that does not mean that you have to, make a work of art that's going to hang in a gallery somewhere. Create something new in your life. Create a new hobby for yourself. Create a new situation for yourself. Create a new experience for yourself. Learn something new. Have fun doing it. Hello, Samir. Oh, the other thing that I told you how weird things have been happening this week. Now, I have my desk downstairs where I work. When I do my crafting, I work on my computer down there. I work on my computer upstairs too, but, obviously during the day I'm downstairs. And my chair broke. The back just broke completely off of it. So I was looking at it, and the screw didn't just come out, it completely broke off. I don't lean hard in the chair or anything. I never felt it giving a little bit. It's just poof. It was done. So that was another strange thing. I do think I have some extra screws, though. I just have to locate them. Okay, let's do some messages. Which cards? Which cards are jumping out at me? Okay, here's one. So let me tell you, I try to be very careful when I'm designing oracle cards because I know the issues that I have with oracle cards. Like this one, I love these cards. However, some of them, depending on the picture that's on here, it's really hard to see the letters, the writing. They're not all like that, but just certain ones. And it's frustrating. And then one deck I have, I noticed, I think it might have been like computer generated because there's a lot of like, I don't know, like misspellings of really strange words. And I don't know. Okay, so this card is for Jan. Let your feelings out. All of them, even the ones that scare you. So what are you feeling right now, Jan? That maybe you kind of want to bury it a little bit, or not acknowledge it, pretend like it's not there. It's okay to feel anything that might even scare you, because the only way to work through it is to heal, to feel, and to heal it. And they want you to know that you are worthy of everything good, but you have to believe it. They already know it. Now it's up to you to believe it. And it's absolutely true. You are worthy of everything good, Jan. And thank you for being here tonight. Okay, Kavita. You must forgive if you want to be free. You must forgive if you want to be free. Do it for yourself. Definitely, forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. Now, sometimes the person that we need to forgive is ourselves. Maybe we, let ourselves down with something that we didn't follow through with, or something that we promised ourselves we would do, but we didn't. Whatever the case, forgiveness is a gift for you. If it's, a situation with another person where you feel like they have wronged you, and you need to forgive them, you can do that. And it's not going to mean that whatever the situation was didn't happen. It's just going to mean you no longer have an attachment to that, so that you can move on. And I love the card that came up with it. If you want to heal humanity, you have to heal yourself first. That is right. That is right. Heal yourself first. Raise your energy. Then people around you are going to start doing the same thing, because it's like anything else. It's contagious. That wonderful energy, that loving energy, that kind, beautiful energy is contagious. Jan says, maybe indecision. So I'm pausing. Thank you. You are welcome. I know, decisions can be difficult. And it makes me think, and I don't know what made me think of this, but when I was a kid, we had our TV guide, right? And we would have like the 3 main channels, the Canadian channel, and then like the PBS channel and then one more. And we had, a handful of TV shows that we could pick from that were, like for kids. Saturday mornings, was the cartoon morning, and there was a handful of shows that we could pick from. Kids today, with hundreds of channels, and all this, there's a lot of shows geared for children now, a ton, and they have a hard time deciding. There might be their favorite show might be available at that time, but they're going to have to look at everything else to see. And I've seen this with my grandkids. Well, what do you want to watch? I don't know. How about this one? No. This one? No. This one? No. This one? No. And they can take 20 minutes to pick something. So the more, choices that we have sometimes can kind of be a handicap in a way. Because it gives us too many, maybe limited to your top 5 things and then figure it out from there. Okay. Roy. What do we have for Roy? Roy, listen to your body and do what it is asking of you. Listen to your body, because our bodies will always tell us what it needs. But we didn't used to know to listen to it, maybe. But we know now. We know that now. It tells us when we're tired. It tells us when we're thirsty. It tells us when we're hungry. But if we don't acknowledge it and follow its instructions and give it what it needs, it's going to kind of, retaliate on us, right? If we don't feed it the kinds of foods that it needs, what happens? Sometimes we get ill. Sometimes we just get like enormous cravings for something healthy. And when we don't drink water, we get dehydrated. So we have to stay hydrated. And with dehydration, usually you get that headache. And you can get the chapped lips if it's bad enough, dry skin. So we want to keep ourselves hydrated. And if you use the Celtic sea salt, just a little bit of that with your water, you get all of those nutrients, all of those minerals. And the other card I got for you, Roy, is the same one I got for Jan. I think it was Jan. You are worthy of everything good. Believe it. Everything good. We are all worthy of everything good. Sometimes we don't believe it, though. And why is that? I don't know. But how often do we hear news about something and, like, get up to go to work? Instead of thinking, well, I'm really grateful I have a job. I am so blessed. Get in the car, start down the road, you have a flat tire. And that's like all you can focus on now is, why did I have a flat tire? Oh, poor me. Now this is going to cost me a fortune and blah, 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 blah. When in fact, there's a reason for it. Maybe that saved you from being where you shouldn't have been at a certain time. Okay. Samir. Stop trying to carry the world on your shoulders. It's way too heavy, Samir. Way too heavy. Everything isn't up to you. Or maybe that's not the way I want to word that. Everything isn't your responsibility, right? So stop carrying things around that have nothing to do with you. You got to let that stuff go. And you have to delegate. Let people help you out if you're feeling overwhelmed. And self-love is crucial to your well-being. Self-love is so important. And, that's not something that a lot of us were taught growing up. We were taught that it was selfish and conceited to love yourself. I can clearly hear those words when I was a little kid. But, that was their mindset back then. They didn't know. I mean, if we're just learning all this stuff now, then, they didn't know it back then. Okay, Maureen. No one said this whole life thing was a race. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to slow down. And I don't know necessarily that you need to slow down, but just kind of like take your time, enjoy the flowers along the way. Enjoy everything on your journey. And now that you are setting out on a new journey, which is super, super exciting, and maybe I shouldn't say new, but this is the path that you are supposed to be on, which is a continuation of your journey. But exciting new beginnings, that's always fun. But, you don't have to, be like Speedy Gonzalez trying to get everything done. Just go at your own pace. Enjoy what you're doing. Everyone has the ability to heal themselves on every level. We do have the ability. We do have the ability to heal ourselves. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, but it takes work. And sometimes people don't want to put the effort in. Not because, maybe sometimes they feel like they're not worth it. I don't know. But know that you are. You are definitely worth it. And just take your time. You don't want to go so fast that you miss something or that you're not enjoying it. You're welcome, Samir. You're welcome, Roy. I thought that said Ray, and I was like, who is Ray? Okay, Richard. I like when we have the same card that comes up multiple times. Richard, listen to your body and do what it is asking of you. Listen to your body. It has a message for you. It has a message for you. I saw you had posted in the group about fasting. That's fantastic. And I know Joe and Roy did too. They posted in the group about that. And it's so good for your body. Now we're talking about intermittent fasting, not fasting for like 60 days. But if you guys, I've talked about it many times on my show. It can reset so much stuff in your body. Check that out. There's so much good information out there on that. If you feel so inclined. And Richard, you have to forgive yourself of the past in order to move on. Another message about forgiveness. So I feel like forgiveness is really on the table tonight. Knowing that you deserve the best in life is repeated. So if you have any forgiveness work to do, Richard, do that. Because you are the one that's going to benefit. I've known people in my life they carried a grudge, for an argument they had with somebody like 30 years ago. And they took it with them, right to the very end. And let me tell you, over time, stuff like that affects you physically. Definitely. So you don't want to do that. You want to free yourself up. Be as light as a feather. Okay. Robert. someone is in need of your love, offer it to them. And I'll tell you, Robert, I feel like one of those people is you. I feel like you need to really love yourself more, show yourself how much you appreciate you. Say kind things to yourself, kinder things. I don't think you go around beating yourself up all the time, but I just feel like, you could increase that amount of love that you have for yourself. And, when you do, so much changes. So much changes when we fill ourselves with love. And authenticity is living in the truth of who you are. And I feel like you are, but I feel like there's more truth of you that's going to be revealed to you, or that's going to slowly unravel in front of you. I feel like, oh, you've more than scratched the surface, but I feel like there's some more stuff that, you need to get rid of. And then you will see an even clearer picture of who you are in this lifetime. So I hope that resonates with you, Robert. And I just want to remind you guys about the Spiritual Message Circle this Saturday. Robin. Well, that one fell out for you, Robin. Take responsibility for your choices. This is your life to live. Own it. And you do. You absolutely do. And the choices that we make in our life are either a blessing or a lesson or both. Sometimes they're both. We can't look at a situation and be like, that was a bad decision. Because if you learned from it, that's what's important. Because then that helps you to grow. It helps you to evolve. So don't ever feel like, oh, this was a mistake. Because it's an opportunity for growth. When you are coming from a place of unconditional love, you make choices from that place of love instead of a place of fear. And that's so true, because you're not living in that place of fear anymore. You're living, in that cloak of unconditional love. And that's when we make the best decisions, when we make those choices through the eyes of love. So I hope that resonates with you, Robin. Jill, let's see what we have for you. Okay. Jill, it says, give yourself some credit. Give yourself some credit for doing a good job at this whole living thing. And I feel like sometimes you're kind of hard on yourself. I feel like you could be really impatient with yourself and situations, because maybe things aren't happening as fast as you want them to, or things aren't getting done exactly the way you would do them or you would want them to. But it's okay. It's okay. Just try to release that need to control them. Because I can tell you, once you release that need, you are going to be a much happier person. I knew someone very close to me who was she always called herself OCD, and which is obsessive compulsive disorder. But that's what she would say, because, you'd go to her house. Well, can I help you with the dish? No. Because she liked them washed a certain way. She liked them put away a certain way, and blah, 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 blah. And she was like that with every different thing in her life. And after, time went on and things changed in her life and she grew a bit, and evolved some, she no longer had that need, and she didn't care. If the dishes were clean and put where they go, that's all that mattered. She didn't have to like control every little bit of it. So, and she was a much happier person after that as well. And also make a positive ripple in the ocean of humanity. With the things that you say, the things that you do, you have no idea how far that ripples out and how many people it touches. Think about when you throw that stone in the lake and that ripple effect. And that ripple goes on to touch every drop of water. So think about that. Think of all the people that you touch. Jill says, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Richard. You're welcome, Maureen and Samir. Let's see what we have for Tiffany. Oh, Tiffany. No one said this whole life thing was a race. It's okay to slow down. And I know you have a lot of pots on the burner, right, cooking? You got a lot of things going on, and probably so many more that you haven't even talked about. And probably some of them are still in the seeding stage. There's probably some, ready to give birth. But just, make sure you're taking good care of yourself. Slow down if you need to. I was doing this with myself for a while. I wanted to get this, and this done by this time. Well, it wasn't even physically possible, right? So I had to slow down. And now I'm more at the point where, I work on my stuff every day, and little by little, it's getting accomplished. And when it's done, it'll be done. And that's fine because it's all in divine timing. I'm not going to try to rush it. I'm not going to try to, drag it behind. The other card I got for you is you have been given your gifts, your passion, as a means to fulfill your purpose. Tiffany says, I now say all in divine order, all in divine timing. Spot on. You're welcome. I don't, that's just what I tell myself all the time. And then I don't feel that pressure because I used to pressure myself all the time. You have to get this done. And then when that happens, what happens? It's like your brain freezes up and you can't think. You absolutely can't. You have to stay kind of more relaxed and going with the flow to be able to let all those thoughts and ideas come out. But I think that's so true. The gifts that we have been given, that's our passion, the thing that we're very passionate about, the thing that lights our soul on fire when we are doing it. And we have that gift to be able to help us fulfill our purpose. And we all have that. We all need to realize it. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your comments. I am grateful for each and every one of you. Hopefully we'll see some of you on Saturday. Otherwise, I will see you next Wednesday. I love you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Good night.